All right, welcome. Make sure my sound is at a good level here. Welcome to Moneyline MMA coverage of UFC Fight Night. Sean Brady versus Leon Edwards. This will actually be a fight card taking place in the O2 Arena out in London, England. And what's nice for us is that the card still starts at 3 p.m. Central Time with the prelims starting at 12 in the afternoon Central Time. So, yes, this card does take place overseas, but we're still going to get it at a reasonable time here. Jose and I were just saying before the show that it's actually kind of nice, like having the fights like later in the day, but still midday. Like it's good time for the fights because you can just kind of wind down, and enjoy your afternoon with some of the fights on. So let us know down below if you prefer the fights to start at 3 o'clock or 9 o'clock. But for this Saturday, and I think potentially one more fight card before the next pay-per-view at least, which will have a little bit earlier in the day fights. But before we get too deep into our picks for this coming Saturday, let's quickly discuss last Saturday, in which I had a 5-0 sweep. Finally bringing it back, like I said I would. The last 2 weeks before that were a little unfortunate in the sense that I was still winning picks, but I wasn't hitting that 5-weight, which is the real like bread and butter. I really want to hit that 5-weight every single week. Just to make sure that to me needs to be the most consistent thing of all my picks, is that 5-weight needs to hit at least 3/4 of the time, right? And it's going to be hard. And sometimes that 5-weight is going to be a heavy favorite, sometimes it won't be. And in fact, last week I believe Delize was a dog at the time that I picked him, 5-weight, and it won. So that was a direct competition with me and Jose, 5-weight picks. He had Vittoria, I had Delize, and honestly, kind of a boring fight, but Delize gets the job done. Before that, Chidi Niokwani with the finish of Zaleski dos Santos. That was pretty exciting to see. So that wasn't one that, actually no, both Jose and I both had Chidi. That was actually one of the few that we agreed on last week. Damon Blackshear, my 4-weight, getting a submission via Kimura. What a beast, Damon Blackshear. Kurt Hollabaugh losing the decision. Some people say he got robbed, but he kind of got out wrestled. So it is what it is. Can't be too mad. And the other two being Kevin Vallejos getting a big win with an overhand right in the first round, man. Wow, he's exciting. Be on the lookout for Kevin Vallejos going forward. And then my boy, WCA. I said so, man. You got to watch out with these light heavyweights coming up to heavyweight. I don't know, man. There's a reason that Tom Aspinall's so ready to fight John Jones, right? Of course, because he's a dog, but it's like these heavyweights are not scared of light heavyweights, man. It's never going to be a thing. So if Ryan Spann thinks he's going to be a heavyweight, he needs to get a little bigger and train a little bit more, because WCA just took him down, and by that I mean got the KO, left hook the ground punches. He wasn't like actually wrestling. But that said, we're going to move on to our picks for this Saturday. I'm going to continue my 5-fight streak and just continue bringing the heat for these picks. And we'll see what we can come up with. Just as a reminder to anyone who is new here, Jose and I make 5 picks on the currently scheduled, I believe about 13 fights. Let me double check how many fights we have on this card here. 13. So currently scheduled 13 fights. Jose and I pick 5, and individually, that is, we individually pick 5 and weigh those picks in order of confidence, with 5 being the most confident and 1 being the least confident. So in essence, like I was saying earlier, when I want my 5-weight to win every week, it's me saying I want my lock of the week to hit. That's going to be my most confident pick for any given fight card. And we'll always start with our locks of the week first and move down from there. So without further ado, for my 5-weight, my lock of the week, as far as just money line or head-to-head goes for Saturday afternoon, I'm going with Carlos Ulberg. This is what's looking to be the co-main event of Saturday afternoon. And this is an interesting one because we got a former champ in Jan Blachowicz fighting Carlos Ulberg. And I want to preface all I'm about to say with that. I do respect Jan Blachowicz a lot, right? And he brings a lot to the table in terms of an MMA fighter. But there's a few things here that I just can't get with that really make me lean against him in this fight. That really lead to me picking Carlos Ulberg as a confident 5-weight. Carlos Ulberg is the favorite here. And one of the things I don't like about Jan is his age, right? He's 42 years old. So we're talking already a little bit slower and probably less of a chin than he's ever had in his career. I understand he just fought Pereira, just being about 8 to 9 months ago, he fought Pereira and didn't get knocked out. So, okay, so maybe you could say he's got a good chin. Okay, fine. But Jan Blachowicz has not been able to beat anybody, and I'm just going to be real here because he only beat Alexander Rakic because of an injury, right? I remember watching that fight. It was tied going into the third round. That was not something that Jan was winning in my eyes, right? And he was winning and he was just going to cruise to a decision. That was not the case. Rakic hurt his leg and then Jan was given the win. So I'm going to go so far as to say that Jan Blachowicz has not beaten a light heavyweight, a true, light heavyweight. I wasn't confusing myself because the wins before that is middleweight Izzy, right? Dominic Reyes. So now we're talking 2020 since he's actually beaten a light heavyweight fighter. I'm not with that. I think Carlos Ulberg is going to be too fast. He's young and he's obviously on a nuts win streak. What is that now? 7 or 8 fights in a row. So we can talk all day about how, yes, this is definitely Ulberg's toughest challenge so far in his UFC career, but there's nothing I've seen from his fights against Ozedmir or Alonzo Menefield that concern me whatsoever. Ulberg's going to bring it, and he's got such power in his kickboxing ability. I don't anticipate Jan Blachowicz winning this on the feet whatsoever. So I'm curious to see what you have to think, Jose, but man, I'm really siding with Ulberg here with some confidence.
Nick, so for this one, I actually disagree with you on this, but I have Jan as my 2-weight. The reason why I have him low is just because of him coming off that injury, so him being inactive, and Carlos Ulberg, he's just a rising prospect, and dude is just like a bull. Like, dude is a machine. And he's not as young as I thought he is. He is 34, but still younger than Jan for sure. Jan being 42 and just being out of action for a bit. Again, that's why he's my 2-weight. But the reasons why I'm still signing with Jan Blachowicz is just given that the experience, the high-level experience that he's had, even though he hasn't won in a minute, since that unanimous decision win against Israel Adesanya. But even then, his last 2 losses were split decision losses to Alex Pereira and Magomed Ankalaev, both future champs, obviously. And those dudes are obviously significantly younger than him, and especially Magomed Ankalaev. And the fact that he went toe-to-toe with them, I still think that he has enough to win and beat Carlos Ulberg. I don't know if he has enough to actually become champ. He says he wants to rematch Magomed. He wants to beat Ulberg and then go on and get a title rematch against Ankalaev. I don't know if that will necessarily happen because that fight again was, I guess, kind of like reminiscent of the fight this weekend that we saw this past weekend and kind of boring. But at the end of the day, I think he's just experienced enough and is just a high level fighter that just that vet experience that he will just do what needs to be done to get the win, whether it's pretty or not. And so that being said, I am going with Jan. He is Ulberg. The one thing he does have over him is just definitely again the youth, the size, and just the explosiveness. But I think if Jan can weather the storm, I do think he can get a win. Again, not a pretty win, but I do think he can pull out a win. So that's why I'm signing with Jan in this one. And in terms of the feet, too, I think he's going to fare well on the feet. I'm actually interested to see how the grappling will go down. I do think Ulberg, I'm not sure how many submissions Ulberg has. I can check quick. He has no submissions, and Jan only has 2. So I'm not worried about submission game really from either guy. But in the grappling department, I think they're both are just going to clinch up naturally, and I think overall it's just going to be who lands more shots. And at the end of the day, I do think Jan's going to just get the edge. It could even be another split decision in his on his record, but I do think he'll come out with the win this time. So that being said, I am going with the underdog. Jan Blachowicz is this, and he is my 2-weight.
Dude, can you it might just be me, but can you see if your mic is really high up, dude? It's really loud.
I can try turning it down. I can adjust this.
Yeah. If you can, dude, send that thing down a little bit. It's a bit loud. I had to lower it on the player because it was getting into the alarming level of high level noise.
Oh, how is this now? Is that better?
It's good. It's good. Yeah.
Okay.
That's good.
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
It was like, whew. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, it's lower on my mic now than usual, so I don't know maybe if it was on your end, but as long as we're good now.
I think we're good. Yeah. All right, so but yeah, in the end, I would agree, dude, that it does appear that it's going to take, in my opinion, it seems like you mostly agree that Jan Blachowicz probably needs to win this by decision. I'm not really sure, at least for me, I'm not seeing a way for him to finish Alberg. I do understand there's some sort of wrestling aspect to it, but Alberg does have one submission. He submitted Dawoon Jung back in 2023 via rear naked choke. So I'm not thinking that Alberg is like a black belt in jiu-jitsu or anything, but I don't think he's a pushover either. I think he would be able to get back up. I don't think Jan's bad at wrestling either, but I don't think he's just gonna be able to like sit on Carlos for an entire round to win by points. But I could be wrong. I could be proven wrong like that, but we'll see. But in the end, if what you were saying could happen stands true and that they kind of stand on the feet and bang it out, I'm very excited. Carlos Alberg is landing over 7 significant strikes per minute. I'm just excited to see what he can do against Jan with that kind of number.
Yeah, man. And that being said, yeah, Jan's we'll disagree on this one, but again, I do have low confidence just because again, the biggest thing though for me is I do question like I think just the experience and even technique wise, I'm leaning with Jan just because he's also had that kickboxing career way before he was in the UFC. So I do side with him just like on his vet experience, and he's beating dudes younger than him, like Ankalaev. So not be, he hasn't beaten Ankalaev, I'm saying, but he's fought against younger dudes, I should say. So it's like nothing new to him, but he has also beaten younger guys. But that being said, yeah, uh, low confidence on my end, but yeah, I'm signing with Jan. And that being said, I think it's safe to say we can move on to my five weight.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm good on that. I think it just we'll be curious to see who wins these disagreements this week, man. We'll see this time. At least it's not a 5 versus 5 weight.
Dude,
That's crazy.
dog, I kind of this is probably gonna I actually need to like see what's up because like I think I just realized this next pick of mine, obviously my five weight is also an underdog. So
Uh-oh.
I'm picking some dogs this week.
Here we
So
go. Here we go.
hoping it's week of the dogs.
Can't wait to hear
But
it.
in this one, yeah, it's actually the main event between Leon Edwards and Sean Brady.
Okay.
And as of right now, on FanDuel, Leon Edwards is the betting underdog at plus 122, while Sean Brady is the betting favorite at minus 156. This one, I am going with Leon Edwards, and the thing is just because Sean Brady, he is really good, and he's shown how good he is. I just still think like Leon Edwards as well, kind of like similar to the last fight we talked about. I just think his experience at such a high level is just gonna outweigh just Sean Brady's experience, and obviously they both have a common opponent in Bilal Muhammad, and they both lost to him. And Leon Edwards just really did not show up and was just not in his A game that night because when they first fought, when Bilal and Leon fought the first time, Leon Edwards just had so much like confidence in him and just really used his size advantage over Bilal and was piecing him up pretty well. And I think he's gonna ultimately come in with a similar confidence against Sean Brady, knowing like he's the bigger and better fighter. And so I just do think that he's gonna almost be a little more elusive, like loose and like and just be more flowy with his combinations to say, and not be as stiff and like a statue against Bilal, because a lot of these fighters have fought like that. Kamaru Usman's fought like that. Tyron Woodley's fought like that. Like there's just times where these fighters just like for some reason they just Yoel Romero, like they just don't show up. Like they just are just like a statue and just a punching bag. But I don't know if it just starts, if it just happens like right at the beginning where like whoever sets the tempo and like right off the bat. But I think Leon Edwards, he's 22-4, and he's got just a lot of championship experience, and he's been like leading up to him becoming champion. He was just a scary dude. And he ran through everyone. He did lose to Usman obviously back in 2015. But other than that, like he went on a crazy tear, beating a lot of dudes, and Sean Brady, he is a prospect as well, and he's beaten some dudes. And obviously, his only loss is the champ. So I am extremely excited about this, but I am siding with the former champ just because he's coming in as the bigger guy. He has a 2-inch reach advantage, and both guys throw a good volume of punches. Like their kickboxing game is going to be crazy, and I just think Sean Brady is going to be aggressive and obviously want to look for a takedown and possibly a submission, but. I think Leon Edwards will do a fair job of just having some takedown defense against Sean Brady, just because he's slightly the bigger guy. So I don't know if he'll take him down as easily as like Bilal could have, but did. But that being said, yeah, this one I'm going with the former champ. He is the underdog, but he is my 5-weight. What are your thoughts on this one, Nick?
Dang, we're gonna get another disagreement here, man. Obviously not 5 versus 5-weight per here. This is gonna be my 3-weight on Sean Brady. So I like the last one. I'm a little less confident than you are in Sean Brady, but and honestly, man, I have to agree with you that I'd honestly sit here and agree that Leon Edwards is the better technical fighter. He has more skills than Sean Brady, but Leon Edwards just doesn't utilize the skills. I feel like Leon Edwards did what Colby Covington did against Leon Edwards in that fight back in 2023 or whatever. It's just like he kind of stood there and just like let Bilal push the pace and do that. 9 takedowns, man, that's crazy. I feel like Sean Brady possesses the tools to do exactly what Bilal Muhammad did to Leon Edwards as well. And who am I to sit here and feel like the fact that it's in London is going to be any better for him either? Because he defended his belt in Manchester and got his butt kicked. So as much as I could agree that Leon Edwards, if he applies himself and uses 110% effort at all times, is the better fighter, but I will not rely on that. I can't rely on that. He just hasn't done it. And for me to think that he's just going to be able to do anything less than 110% in this fight for 25 minutes and beat Sean Brady is crazy. Because Sean Brady dismantled Gilbert Burns for 25 minutes, and we thought Gilbert Burns might be worth a title shot. Sean Brady came in and ended that discussion so fast, nobody's even thought about Gilbert Burns since that fight. It's crazy. And Gilbert Burns was doing so well. So, I don't know, man. I think Sean Brady's really going to bring it to the table against Leon Edwards, and it's going to be up to Leon Edwards to actually put in that 110% effort that we haven't seen. I mean, he gets a last-second kick against Kamaru Usman and wins a majority decision against him in the rematch, and then beats a statue after that. Like, I'm not trying to dog him. I'm saying he's the better fighter if he applies himself, but he just won't. In my opinion, he just won't. And for that, I can't trust him. I'm taking Sean Brady as a 3-weight.
No, I see what you're saying. If he definitely shows up that same way, yeah, like Sean Brady's definitely 100% going to run through him. But that's where I see just a little different too. Is just that I'm banking on him I'm banking on him showing up his A game, and I agree. I don't think him having the home court advantage really matters in this instance. But that being said, like I am going with him really strongly. So I honestly, he may, if Bilal was able to TKO Sean Brady, I actually do think Leon Edwards possibly could too. But I'm not gonna really lean on anything. I guess any method of victory, but that I would definitely just say I'm a strong Leon Edwards. Obviously, he's my 5-weight, and he's your 3-weight.
Yeah, I mean, personally, obviously, I'm not even picking Leon, but if I was, I would only really take the money line there, I feel like, because you never really know what can happen. In that 25 minutes, I feel like so many, and I agree that there's a chance that he could finish Brady on the feet, but I don't think it would be the most likely. It would definitely be like a TKO scenario, but you're already getting plus money, so at that point, you're almost kind of being greedy, trying to add a method onto it. Usually, I only like to think like picking a winning method if it's like a very pure boxer or a very pure wrestler, and they're like minus 500, because then it's a little bit more obvious, right? It's like okay, they're obviously, it's like Alex Pereira is not going to get a submission, right? And he's a very pure boxer, so you could say Alex Pereira by KO or points, pretty goddamn confident in every fight he's in, really. So that said, take Leon Edwards money line or Sean Brady, also pretty much money line. I don't really think you need to get much more cute than that. The odds are pretty close, based on whoever of us you agree with. But I think Sean Brady truly is a dog, and after he dismantles Leon Edwards, I think it's gonna be hard not to, it's one of those divisions, man, that welterweight is gonna need to look at its contenders right now, because I think Sean Brady might have to make a case for being one of the next shots.
That would be a fun rematch, him and Bilal. Like, see how the improvements Sean Brady would make if he gets to that title shot.
Yeah,
That'd be a fun rematch to see.
obviously Shavkat deserves it first, but they'll figure that out, and Sean Brady might need to maybe be Ian Gary or someone else first, but he's definitely on his way. He's getting there. So yeah, that was Jose's 5 weight, Leon Edwards, my 3 weight, Sean Brady, second disagreement in a row. And with that, I'll take us to my 4 weight of Saturday afternoon. And we're going to take a break from the main card here. It's funny enough that we've covered the co-main and main event in our first 2 discussions. I would say that's not very common, but actually my bad, because even though these guys don't have like the star power, there's actually some bigger names below them in the prelims. But Jordan Vucenic, I'm not sure if I'm saying that correct, Vucenic. I don't quite know. There's multiple ways that could go. He's fighting Chris Duncan, and it's looking to be one of the early fights on the main card. Jordan Vucenic is definitely the favorite in this fight. He's minus 400, so 4-1 odds for him against Chris Duncan at plus 285. Obviously, looking the sports books seem to agree that Mr. Vucenic is the right pick to make here. Jordan is coming off a loss versus Guram Kutateladze in his UFC debut, and that's part of the reason. Like, I was hoping before even looking at the odds, I was hoping because he lost that fight that maybe people would fade him a little bit. But it was a really good fight, and that's why I was still looking towards him, because he got a knockdown against Guram and was out striking him. But Guram ended up getting the decision win, partially because of a takedown and some wrestling control. But honestly, Vucenic still had more control on the ground as well. It was a real dog fight with him and Guram, and it's interesting because since then, Guram hasn't like necessarily like he hasn't even fought. Actually, that was more recent. So Guram's obviously now 2-2 in the UFC, but one of his wins against Mateusz Gamrot. So I hate to do too much MMA math, but nonetheless, I think Vucenic is. What I like about him is he's going to bring the power. He's going to bring the aggressiveness. I think he's going to work for the money if you do bet on him, right? He's minus 400, and he's going to go in there swinging for a finish. The one thing to me you might want to be worried about with Chris Duncan would potentially be the fact that he's kind of a dog, right? He can take shots. Chris Duncan has been finished before on the feet, but it's been a while. It's been since he fought Vyacheslav Borshev in 2021 back in the Contender Series. So Chris Duncan is a tough fellow, right? He's going to take a lot of shots and continue moving forward. So there's a chance that he outlasts the Storm, and that's the only thing I could see Vucenic not getting this win if he gasses out swinging too hard. But in the end, he's going to have the power advantage. I think he's going to be better in general. And yeah, I've explained how I think this fight's going to go. I think he's going to go in there swinging and either finish Chris Duncan on the feet or get a decision win just through damage. And the nature of that, since it's only a 3-round fight. So 4-weight for me, Jordan Vucenic. What do you think, Jose?
Yeah, so Nick, on this one, I do not actually have a pick, and it's hard for me to actually still side with one, just because I've not actually I haven't seen enough of Vucenic, so I was just, but people obviously see something as him being such a big favorite in this one. But like you mentioned, Chris Duncan is a dog, and just he has had some a little more experience. I've seen just like with Bellator and the UFC, and I mean that can mean nothing because like Vucenic has just as much
Oh,
experience
Jose's lagging a little bit.
and but with Cage Warriors. So
I think we got
it,
you now.
pick a side. Oh man. Oh yeah, I see that.
Sorry, I didn't want you to keep.
Yeah.
Okay, you're good. I think you're good now.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Where I'm seeing my. It was definitely on my end. Um, but yeah. That being said, yeah, this is just a tough one. Both guys have good experience, and I do think it's like almost an equal, a little more of an equal match. I would like. I wish I would have seen more of Buchanan. Besides, obviously his one UFC loss, to have a better assessment on this. But again, Chris Duncan, he's also a dog. So that being said, it was just a tough one. I mean, so I just have no weight or decision on this one.
Okay, sounds good, man. Not required, man. Honestly, it's always interesting to hear your input, but it's definitely not required. So that'll be a confident enough 4-weight in the minus 400 favorite for me in Vucenic, and we can move on to Jose's 4-weight.
Yeah, so for my four-weight, this is the featherweight bout between Nathaniel Wood and Morgan Charrier. right now, Nathaniel Wood, he is the betting underdog at plus 134, while Morgan Charrier is the betting favorite at minus 172. This one, this was a good matchup too. This one was actually a hard one that I was debating whether I was going to decide or not, as well, kind of like the last fight, just because I do think it's a good equal match as well. Both guys are you just are know are going to come in swinging and it's just going to be a war. Like I definitely know that's what we're going to expect to see out of it. And that being said, I'm leaning towards Morgan Charrier, the last pirate. Just dude, his striking thus far, from what I've seen, just looks phenomenal. And he does have that split decision loss to Jose Mariscal, but that other than that, like he's got win. That's how he got a nice impressive KO kick a body kick in his UFC debut. Granted, that was in 2023. And Nathaniel Wood, he has some really good experience as well. I've seen a lot of him, and I just think this is to be honest, like a good test, and I can see like a good test for him in terms of like he can win it. It's definitely a winnable one, but I'm just going with I think Morgan Charrier is going to just throw a little more damage behind his punches, and when it comes to striking. Yeah, like both guys throw a high volume of strikes and both eat up a lot as well. Pretty much almost close to what they're throwing out. And I think Morgan Charrier is just going to overall be the slightly stronger grappler in this one. So I think ultimately he's going to win. I don't know if they're going to. I just think it's either going to win by like some type of ground and pound or overall just unanimous decision. But yeah, like both guys. You know what? Honestly, yeah, it's hard to say. Like both guys actually they go to decision a fair amount of times, but I think I'm going with Morgan Charrier on this one. I'm just gonna say he's gonna take the win again. That being said, if there's a method, I'm leaning towards a KO/TKO on this one. So yeah, I'm leaning heavily on Morgan Charrier. I just think he's gonna throw harder throws and be a little stronger with the grappling. What are your thoughts on this fight, Nick?
Man, I might have to play it like you on this one and take a neutral side. I like Sherrier a lot, but I don't know if I can pick against Nathaniel Wood. I think this is really tough, man. Nathaniel Wood is a really good decision fighter. He has some finishes under his belt, but in most cases, he's going to win by points, by consistency. Cherrier, interestingly enough, fought Jordan Vucenic in the Cage Warriors back in 2021. So kind of closing the loop on the guy we just discussed. That's my four weight. Lost via split decision did Morgan Charrier to Jordan Vucenic. So just interesting to see how some of these guys pre UFC are essentially sharpening the tool set on some of these other promotions, which is why it's still important to watch Cage Warriors and ONE FC and these other promotions, because this is where the UFC gets their talent from. But in the end, man, the split decision loss to Shepe too. I'm a big fan of Shepe. Had a big bet on him for this past fight he was in and won a couple of weeks ago. Shepe's a dog, man, so it's not a bad loss to take at all, and that's why I got a lot of respect for Charrier too, man. I think this is going to be an exciting fight, and to be honest, is what I'm seeing as an opener of the main card. That's exciting, man. Wow, it's going to have some fireworks.
Yeah, that's the way I see. I think this one, like, I talked about the Oberg and Jan Blachowicz fight. That's gonna be a good, like, I think it's gonna be a good stand up fight. But I think this is probably gonna be the best stand up fight. I just think it's gonna be explosiveness and a lot of hard shots. Like I think both dudes are definitely like I said, both dudes do eat up a good amount of shots too per minute. So you definitely know they're gonna be ready to throw down. So that being said, yeah, you say you have no pick on this one, but yeah, I'm going with Morgan Charrier. He is again he is the favorite, so he is the first favorite I have picked thus far on this show. So yeah, I got Charrier as my four weight.
Yeah, I'm not gonna take a side just because as much as I like Morgan, dude, I like Nate Wood, dude. I feel like too often he comes in fights and people just is like, oh, he's just that little white guy. He's not gonna do much, and it's just I get it. He doesn't look menacing. He doesn't look like Nate Diaz, right? He doesn't look like he came out of the South Side. Like he's just a normal dude, and he goes in there and gets the job done, and then he leaves. And I gotta respect that. So honestly, I'm just gonna be watching and enjoying that fight. Can't pick a side. So that said, we've discussed, I believe, my 5, 4, and 3. So it's time to go to my 2 weight of Saturday afternoon. And this is another one. This is honestly, I've grown fond. Honestly, I might have to say, Jose, I might have to say my favorite female fighter in the UFC, Molly Meatball McCann. And there's a big reason for that because Molly McCann is one of the only female fighters that I feel like will guarantee you what you're expecting, right? You will watch her fight and she will dog it out no matter what. She will stand in the center and swing until someone's finished, right? I'm excited about that. I like that idea. Molly McCann is not going to take a bet of yours and run away with it. That's not happening. We're getting her at plus money here. Molly McCann plus 152. I haven't looked to get the exact numbers, but from what I heard, this line opened up with Molly as a heavy favorite. So think about this: the book sets a line, and people bet on the line, and the line moves according to bets, right? So the book thought Molly McCann should be a favorite. She's the UFC veteran, right? I understand that Molly McCann isn't a title contender, right? I'm not saying that. Molly McCann is fighting a UFC newcomer, and her losses are to Erin Blanchfield, who's a stud, Julia Stolyarenko, who's a stud, and got submitted 2 times. The only okay, Bruna Brazil decision loss. Okay, Bruna Brazil might not be a stud, especially because we're seeing that she took a loss recently in February. So I don't know if Bruna Brazil is the best loss to take. All right, but fine. It's Molly McCann. You know what you're getting. She's going to go in there and throw spinning elbows. She's going to do everything she can to finish her opponent. I love that. I'm not sure Alexia is ready for that. I get that she's got 12. She's 11-1. It looks flashy. It looks great. Molly McCann's 14-7. Oh, that's an awful record. I get it. But Molly McCann's going to bring it. And you know exactly what she's going to bring. She's going to bring forward pressure, unique and powerful strikes. I'm ready to see it. I think she beats Alexia Thainara. What do you think, Jose?
Yeah, Nick. So for this one, I'm definitely going to have to disagree. And I hardly pick on people just like making like their debut. I know Alexia has fought for Dana White's Contender Series, but that's what I'm siding with. She is my 1 weight. Just because, as you mentioned, Molly Meatball, she's just so dangerous, and she's gonna, what she brings. She's just gonna step forward and put on some heavy pressure and throw a barrage of punches at you. But and you know what? She reminds me. She fights kind of like it reminds me of like Jessica Andrade, where she just steps forward and wants to just take your head off. But that being said, like a fighter that recognizes that will just try to have them gas out and just play a good defensive game and then try to beat them more technically. And that's what we've seen. Like that's how Jessica Andrade has been pretty much game beaten, and that's how Molly McCann has been beating herself as well. Because when she's lost unanimously, she just looks really really bad. Like that Bruna Brazil fight. Like Bruna Brazil again is like she's 10-5, like not the craziest like good fighter, but I will say she did beat. She's the only loss that Alexia has as well. So that's actually a common opponent that both Molly. That's the only common opponent pretty much that Molly and Alexia have. And I just think like Molly is definitely beatable. She's 34 years old, so she's just gonna step forward. And again, like the people she's been beating, like I just have really not that like not that many big names or impressive names stand out. And the most impressive names I see are the ones that she's lost to. And for Alexia, like again, she's not really found the UFC before, so all these names are really nobodies to me besides Bruna Brazil. But I'm seeing that she has a lot of submission wins as well. And Molly McCann, out of her 7 losses, has been submitted 3 times, and she's actually lost a couple back to back against Erin Blanchfield and Julia Stolyarenko. So she's lost by Kimura and armbar to them. So, but she has had her own submissions as well, but only 1. And I just don't think I see her really getting the submission win again, because it's just not really her. Again, you mentioned she's just definitely like more like a powerhouse fighter and just gonna throw heavy hands in. I think as long as Alexia can defend, can survive on the feet, I think eventually when it gets to the ground, Alexia may come off with a submission win. So that being said, I'm going with the underdog. Oh, well, I'm going with I'm crazy. She's the favorite. I'm going with the favorite making her UFC debut against Molly McCann. So and it's just because I do think Molly McCann's style has already been proven to be definitely be beatable. As long as you just can avoid the heavy pressure, Molly McCann will start to slow down and get sloppy, and then we'll open up for a lot of other things. So that being said, yeah, I'm going with Alexia on this one. Is my one weight.
We got some good disagreements coming in. I love it. We'll have to see. It's putting each other to the test, man. And the only downside is that I think it guarantees that one of us is taking a loss or two. But hey, it's for the better. We'll pick our fights and learn from them no matter what. But yeah, we'll let you move on with the next fight.
And I think this next fight is definitely, yep, it should be both our last fights
Yeah, the
of the
three-way,
night.
right? Your
Yep.
three-way?
My three weight, and yep, my three weight. This is the welterweight bout between Gunnar Nelson and Kevin Holland. Right now, Gunnar Nelson, he is the betting favorite at -146, while Kevin Holland is the betting underdog at +114. Yeah, I definitely picked a lot of underdogs on this card. I'm gonna keep the theme going with Kevin Holland. Um, I'm going with him even though he's not looked that well like in his last couple fights, and I just think like I just have no idea why Kevin Holland is showing up the way he is, and even in those losses, he's had his moments of shining, like where he's looked somewhat good, but like I think he just really needs to be serious though, because I know he's really good friends with Dana and stuff, but like at some point you gotta catch a win. Like yeah, he's barely gone like he's never gone three losses in a row. He's normally gone. I think after that second loss in a row, he really starts to get like super serious again. So that's the type of Kevin Holland I'm expecting to show up. And Gunnar Nelson, he's like been in the UFC for a while now, and I just feel like I see him compete like I don't know, like every once in a while, like I forget he's in the UFC, and then but he's been here for a while, and he's coming off two back-to-back wins, and he's getting up there, but he's still I think got a lot left in him. He's a big submission artist. Out of his 19 wins, he has 13 of them come by submission, and Kevin Holland himself, like out of his 26 wins, he has 8 submissions as well. He's a black belt in jiu-jitsu as well. So I think the grappling department, even though he's been submitted himself, I think in the grappling department it's going to be more of an equal match. I think Gunnar Nelson isn't going to out grapple Kevin Holland right away, because in order to get to that, he's going to have to bypass Kevin Holland's striking, and I definitely think on the feet Kevin Holland is the better striker, and he's definitely going to have the reach advantage over Gunnar Nelson as well. So before Gunnar Nelson, I think, can even get to Kevin Holland and take him down, he's going to have to get past Kevin Holland's striking. And Kevin Holland, he has a 9-inch reach advantage over Gunnar Nelson. So that's actually a crazy huge advantage. And I just think that that being said, my bad. That being said, like I just think that he's going to have to bypass his striking. And I don't think Gunnar Nelson is going to shoot in right away. He's not that type of guy like Khamzat Chimaev did to Kevin Holland. Gunnar Nelson does not fight like that. He's going to try to stand up with you and have some good defense. It's similar almost to like Ben Askren, where like he's going to stand up with you, be a little slow, not have the prettiest striking, and then just try to find an opening to get a hold of a leg and push you against the cage. And I just think that Kevin Holland is going to be too smart for that and just too good for that. That he's going to be clipping Gunnar Nelson and possibly even TKO Gunnar Nelson. Gunnar Nelson, he's only been knocked out once in his career, but I think just the power that Kevin Holland has, because he does have a lot of power behind his strikes. Again, he's out of his 26 wins, he has 14 via KO/TKO, and we've seen him put out people when he was in middleweight himself. So he's put out some bigger dudes as well, and that reach advantage and this power and the speed on the feet, I think, is going to play a pivotal role in him getting this victory, either by TKO/TKO or unanimous decision. Because again, if they do grapple at some point, I think Kevin Holland is going to fare well enough, and it's not going to be easy for Gunnar Nelson to get to him like that. So I have Kevin Holland as my 3-weight. What are your thoughts on this one, Nick?
Man, we will get an agreement for this one. I do also agree in the dog. Kevin Holland, and honestly, for pretty much the same reasons, most of the same thought process there. That Gunnar Nelson is not the kind of guy to just go in for a takedown so fast, and Kevin Holland will deal some damage. I think the main thing I'd like to add is the notion too of weight class here, because he was fighting. He being Kevin Holland fought at 185 against Rainier de Ritter, right? And it's just like that's probably not his ideal weight class. He fought Roman Dolidze at 185, so this is Kevin Holland at 170, and I'm kind of excited. His last fight against 170 at 170 was against Michael Page. It was a good fight. He brings him to decision. Same with Jack Della Maddalena, who is potentially going to be a challenger for the title at some point here. Kevin Holland really has moments where he looks really good, and honestly has just done a bad job. Like maybe it's partially because, like you were saying, he's got a friendship with Dana White or whatever, but he seems to just put himself in bad spots with the company. Like fighting Rainier de Ritter at 185 just wasn't a good idea for him, and fighting Roman Dolidze at 185 just wasn't a good idea for him. These are just not. It's like Izzy fighting at light heavyweight. She shouldn't have done it. Just like we get that you probably had the ability to beat some 205ers, but come on, not all of them, right? So for Kevin Holland, you should have just stayed at 170. I think the fact he's going back is huge. It's good. Gunny Nelson just doesn't fight that often, and I think this is a good spot. Kevin Holland, I feel like, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like he should still have some urgency. I don't feel like he can just kind of sit back and be like, yeah, well, I'm just going to lose 5 fights in a row and I still have my job. I don't think he'd be immune to being cut from the UFC if he continues to lose. And Kevin Holland has only won 1 of his most recent 5 fights. I think he comes out here and changes that against Gunnar Nelson.
Yeah, so as you mentioned, we definitely agree. Just head on this one. Both feel good about Kevin Holland, and I guess since we both agree, he's probably our dog of the week then. Even though I have a couple dogs, so I have dogs of the week, but he's definitely the one dog we agree on. And Gunnar Nelson again, like even though he's kind of has like a home field advantage, just again we haven't seen him in a bit. It's undersized, older, slower. Best way to put it. And Kevin Holland, you can even argue, where he falls in, because he's starting to kind of like you mentioned, he's just becoming kind of like a yes man, just accepting whoever and whatever weight class as well. But at some point, you think he'd want to get serious about like actually making like a title run. You know what I'm saying? Like, because like right now it's like he's almost starting, his resume is almost starting to make him look like a journeyman. So this one I think would be just a good win. I don't even know what this win would even mean, even though Gunnar Nelson is even ranked anymore. They're so that's that. Like that being said, like it's just like fighting names and like dudes that are you look at even on paper and you're like, oh, he's gonna destroy him. You know what I'm saying? So like Kamza, and then Roman Dolidze, like some dudes like Stephen Thompson. But that being said, yeah. This is one we agree on. And it's our dog, and we hope he shows up come Saturday in London.
Absolutely, man. So yeah, that said, that'll be a dog of the week and lock of the week, really, just because we didn't have any other agreements in general. You could technically say, because Kevin Holland, between us both, was still only 4 confidence points, that the individual locks of the week would be just Carlos Alberg and Leon Edwards, respectively. But from there, yeah, definitely put Kevin Holland on the board if you want something we both agree on. Otherwise, if you prefer one of our picks, my 5-weight is Carlos Alberg and Jose's is Leon Edwards. Thank you for listening. As always, we'll be back a week from today. The UFC is continuing with some good fight cards for the next few weeks. And I still a couple of more cards before we'll get that much coveted, much hyped UFC 314 card. We're going to be seeing Brandon Moreno return to fight Steve Erceg in the next main event. That'll be taking place in Mexico City, actually. So what's cool is that I can at least say we're not getting back-to-back like Vegas cards or anything. Vegas, like boring Apex cards. We're actually getting like unique city cards that usually come with some stack talent as well. So make sure to tune in next week to see the results from this card and the picks for next. Until then, have a good week.